Hey there, IT145 students. So in this recording, we're going to take a look at lab for Module 6. So what we want to do here is ask the user for a string. So for right now, we just want to get a string entered in. So we're going to prompt enter input string, and then they're going to type into the console some kind of string. Now, the rules about this input string work like this. The string needs to contain a comma, and where the comma is going to then tell us which two strings we have. So the comma is going to separate our two different strings. So the first string of this line of text is Jill, and the second part of the line of text that represents a string is Alan. And you can see that we can type this in many different ways, and what we want to do eventually is remove out any white space. So if it is after or before the string, we want to remove it. And we'll take a look at how to perform that here in a little bit. So we're going to ask the user for an input string, and it has to contain either a comma, or if you scroll down, it's the string of just the letter Q. So if it's a line of text, it has to have a comma. Otherwise, if it doesn't have a comma, it's a Q. Q signifies to quit. And if it's not a Q, if it doesn't have a comma, then we're going to ask for the user to continue entering text. So you can see right here, this line of text does not have a Q, is not Q and does not have a comma. So we're going to print out the error message, and they're going to be prompt again for input. Once we have successfully typed in a string that has a comma in it, what we want to do is strip out the first word, strip out the second word, and we want to continue this process until the user enters Q. So we might type in Jill, comma Alan, golden, comma monkey, and again you can see that there are some spaces right there. We might type in Washington, D.C., and again we print out the output. Note that there's two lines of text after the output. And then if we enter an AQ, then it just stops, it stops terminating right there. So let's take a look at what the kind of looks like in Eclipse. So again, we want to prompt the user for a string. So you're going to have to print out, something like this. Enter input string. You'll need to have a scanner object. I'll call it KB. We'll need the import. And again, I'll let you kind of go back over your previous implementations to create this scanner object. Remember, you're going to have to finish this line right here. And then you're going to need variables. So we're going to have an input line. And we're going to have to get the input from the scanner. So something like this. Again, I'm going to have a syntax error because I haven't initialized that variable. I'll leave that to you. So we need to check if that string is a Q or contains a comma. So again, I would do it like this, input line. We can do the dot equals. We can check if it's a Q. And so that's going to exit the program. Else if we need to check if the input line contains a comma. Okay, so we'll check if it's a Q or if it contains a comma. So that's this handling right here. We have to report the error if it doesn't contain a comma. So else, we have to output the error message, right? So we checked if it's got a Q. So if it's just a Q, then we exit. If it's got a comma, great, we're going to handle that. Otherwise, we're going to print our error message. We're going to get the two words from the input string. So one thing that's a little bit different, I'm going to give you a little bit easier way to perform this. So our input line, we can use the strings split operator to get, and I'm going to use the IntelliSense, you can see right here that it's going to provide a string array. So I'm going to get the tokens, they are called, as a string array. And so tokens 0, that's the first string. Tokens 1, that's the second string. So you can use those to retrieve the string. And then, oh, by the way, they want the leading white space or any white space removed. We can call the trim method on that. So a string has a trim method that removes the leading and trailing space. Right there, you can see that. So you'll need to assign the result of this to a variable, maybe call it first string, and then assign this value to a variable called second string. And then we need to print the outputs. So again, right here, print the output. Okay, so let's see if we got everything taken care of here. We've got checking if the string is a Q, got it. If it's got a comma, yep, we've got that. Otherwise, we're going to print our error message. So all of that has been handled. So in fact, we can just kind of move that right up to here. We extracted the 2 words. We're doing that right here. We're going to print the output. Yep, we got that right here. And so couple things to keep in mind here. So we're going to repeat this process until a Q is entered. So all of this needs to be enclosed in a loop. And we actually have to have 2 loops for this. So we can't use the word continue. So a good variable to continue looping, let's just say, we'll just call it continue looping. And we'll set it to true. And so let's cut all of this code right here. And so we're going to paste it in here. So again, the condition here is continue looping. When do I want to stop looping? That's if a Q is entered. So right here, we're going to have to set continue looping to false. Okay, so we'll set continue looping to false right there. Now we also have the condition that we need to enter in valid input. So all of this needs to be wrapped in a loop as well. So we'll do it like this. So while our input is not valid, we have to prompt the user for the input. So let's just cut this and we'll paste it in right here. And I probably need to do this. This right here, this needs to be inside that loop right there. So the valid input, we have right here. So we would set valid input to true here, and that will exit out of this loop. And we also set continuing to false. So that should make it where we exit out of this loop and we exit out of that loop right there. Okay, so I know that's quite a bit for you to take in, but you should be able to use this skeleton and get the lab accomplished. As always, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out.